But do you see, for example, digital transformation as a kind of backbone element for the upcoming marketing strategies?
Especially in the post-pandemic age, the digital transformation. But just again, to come back to what Amazon is doing, it's surprising that, as you know, it's well known that they have actually a heavy offline presence. So I think the key when we analyze digital transformation is we can't leave out the customer journey.
Absolutely.
So the customer journey will ultimately tell you how much of that whole journey should consist of an online component and an offline component. So I think ultimately it's almost like my argument about B2B to C. There is no B2B and B2C. It's artificial because every B2B ends with a C.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we have to think about that last C. I think where a lot of B2B companies fail is because by not looking at what happened at the very last interface, they close themselves to what opportunities there might be, sometimes to go direct to the consumer. And that's where even in B2B to C, they could do that digitally. They don't necessarily have to do that. Dell, as you know, it was all online, even though it was B2C.
Yes.
But it requires a different set of capabilities, such as offshooting or troubleshooting what the consumer has difficulties with, having a good call center, so on and so on. So it's, again, we've come full circle. It's about distribution, but even in a digital sense. So my general answer to that would be, I don't think I should pinpoint any specific company, but some obvious one comes to mind, such as Amazon, but Apple, Samsung, even though they might be more offline, especially because of the pandemic and the kind of cocooning that people have done, myself included, trying to do everything online. I think the customer journey will be key because it will be about what's still missing. I can do a lot of things online, but maybe I want to touch the phone before I actually buy it. And that's why Amazon has set up these stores offline where you can see the book, even though you're not buying it, read a couple of pages, or maybe touch, because the tactile, it's almost like my movie where you want to use multi-sensory interfacing. So you want to, I'm using a MacBook, you want to see how big it is, how heavy it is. That's something, you can tell them how much it weighs, but still, it's very abstract.
Yeah, no matter that they could be like showrooms instead of just stores. But you're right, absolutely. And the same situation used to happen with a lot of devices that we, and you could see a lot of people that maybe still prefer that in-person
And I would imagine it's even more important than B2B.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The demonstration of the heavy equipment thing that how noisy it is and so on. And we know noise is very different from hearing it on your PC versus hearing it live.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Professor.
And cars also, because I'm a big car buff, and not being able to test drive something. Even though you may have driven an older model, the newer model, I think the issue with cars in the future will be sound. And sound is something which is really underrated as a sensory stimulus.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because as a filmmaker, I know I pay almost the most attention to sound, especially if you see a movie inside a movie theater. What really gets you into the movie is the sound.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And the same with cars. Cars is really about the sound that the car makes. I mean, you may be driving a sports car, but oftentimes you're driving it in the city. So you can't speed the car, but you can still make the sound. You still get the experience
Absolutely.
of the car, even though you're driving it at 40 miles an hour.
Yes.
And people notice, and that's part of the thrill of driving a sports car, the looks that you get from the other cars and or the passersby.
Yeah, because it's more about the experience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely. And I used to mention also to my students, and I also try to make in practice that even jingles are an important component, as you mentioned. And sometimes are very, as you mentioned, underrated, but for sure are are key components, because it is easier for us as humans to remember a jingle than an entire campaign of a company or something.
Right, and I'm sure there's research on this, but even from a cost standpoint, repetition, as you know, in advertising is needed to get over that threshold of people memorizing a message of an ad.
Yes.
To do it with television costs money, because to get an average of 3 repetition, you'll probably have to do it like over 10 times, which is very expensive. But you can do it with radio. You can do it with jingles on radio.
Yes.
Which will cost far less, but still get you the similar amount of frequency, repetition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Give us a like about this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again, and see you soon.